can the software tell us that, not just that we didn't know, but we had no idea about as a concept?
Welcome back to the Bankers Masterclass series entitled Data Deluge, Asset or Liability, in association with Gresham Technologies. I'm Joy Macknight, Deputy and Technology Editor at The Banker, and I'm joined by Ian Manocha, CEO of Gresham, which specializes in enterprise data integrity solutions. In an era of the Internet of Things and big data, banks have oversight of more data than ever before. In Chapter 3 of this 4-part video series, we'll discuss how banks can use new technology to gain insights into data. Ian, thanks so much for joining us today. As I said, there's been just this mass explosion of data. How can banks really tap into that to serve their customers better?
Great question. The deluge of data is causing challenges, and this is not an easy one. And certainly what we've seen is some of the regulatory drivers that are putting the quality of data up in the boardroom. And that's resulted in chief data officers, data stewards, other governance processes around data, all about getting the data right and finding the right way to use it and make sure it's fit for purpose. So I think there is clearly a response, a huge response in terms of both the people side of the agenda, but also the technology side. I think what banks are really looking for is a new approach from the old way of building IT databases, expensive, costly projects, to moving to a new approach. Perhaps it's the data lake. Perhaps it's a platform that looks at integrity of their data across their data fabric. There are new concepts emerging, and I think it's really very, very exciting.
Okay, but you talked a little bit about how the banks are really using a lot of people, whether it's data scientists, etc., and sort of throwing them at the problem. But is this just sustainable in the future, do you think? And what do banks really need to be doing?
Well, the volume and complexity of data is only going one way. The regulations are only going one way. And of course, the pressure on banks to be more competitive is getting stronger and stronger. So we definitely have got to break this cycle. So there's different things going on. Clearly what we need is to be using the intelligence of software to do more of this sort of manual intensive processes. And that's not just on the IT side. Certainly on the IT side, software should now be being used to design systems. And that's where we're coming from. But equally so in terms of making sure that data has high integrity throughout the life cycle to understand where things are breaking. Again, that's a software problem, not a people problem. And if you look at the vast room full of people we have doing data processing operations in banking still today, there's a real opportunity to get much more efficient and effective there.
Okay, so what kind of technologies can be brought into play? A lot of people talk about artificial intelligence or machine learning. What is your opinion on that?
I think they have a role to play, but if the data's not right in the first place, then they've nowhere to go with that. I think there's a generation of technology that can, first of all, take a huge cost and time out of providing good quality data for people to use. The old days of designing hard-coded databases as an IT project, that's definitely gone. There's new software that enables people to do that quickly and effectively, so they can put controls in place on their data. Downstream of that, there's new technologies, as you say, around machine learning, so we're moving from an era where the data is descriptive to where we're using the data itself to be more prescriptive about what's going to happen in the future. And machine learning takes us into this unknown unknowns territory. What can the software tell us that, not just that we didn't know, but we had no idea about as a concept? And that's where I think the upside is for institutions, if they can get that bit right in terms of really driving business value out of data they didn't know was there.
And what about robotic process automation? What's your opinion on that?
It's one of the most exciting areas in tech today. What I would say is, a robot can only do so much. And of course, if we're asking a robot to work and do the work of a human, and the work of a human was there because we're making errors in our processing, then that's really not solving anything. So we need to understand where our systems and processes in banking breaking, what's going wrong and how can we fix it, such that there is no need for that human or no need for a robot to replace that human. And actually we get people doing what they're really good at, which is the creative problem solving. How can I use data and use it for business advantage?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ian. In the final chapter of this masterclass series, we'll be talking about how banks can use transaction data to truly understand their customer.